everyone. I'm Adam Brown, and this is ShowPoint Today for the weekend of January 9th, 10th, and 11th. On today's show, Lee County Sheriff Mike Scott will be on hand with important information about telemarketing fraud. But first, we want to remind you that the Veterans Club meets today at 10 a.m. in the Grand Cypress Room. Rear Admiral Roger W. Trifsauer, a native of Batavia, New York, and former Genesee County Legislative Chairman, will be speaking at this month's meeting. He served in the U.S. Navy Dental Corps for 33 years, then retired from the Naval Reserve in 1995, and now resides on Sanibel Island. Saturday, the Walking Club is having an off-property outing. They will travel to Naples to walk either a 3 or 6 mile trail in one of our region's most picturesque tourist settings, Venetian Bay. If you're adventurous, inquisitive, and physically fit, call Jim Plummer of Parkwood at 337-2721 or Charlie McDonald of Royal Bonnet at 939-0210 for more information. Now, if your idea of enjoying a Saturday afternoon looks more like sitting in a cool, dark room watching a movie, then we have something for you too. The Saturday DVD showing this week is The Book Thief. Based on the best-selling book, this movie follows Liesl, played by Sophie Nélisse, a girl whose infectious personality changes the lives of those around her. When her mother can no longer care for her, she is adopted by a couple from Germany, played by Jeffrey Rush and Emily Watson. Liesl is illiterate when she arrives and learns how to read from her adopted father. When the couple take in Max, a Jew hiding from Hitler's army, Liesl befriends him, and together they use their love of words and literature to escape war's reality. There will be 2 showings of this film at 2 o'clock and again at 7 p.m. in the Grand Cypress Room at the Woodlands. Are you single? Well, then you are cordially invited to a luncheon and talk regarding the formation of a new singles activity group. By resident request, this new group will provide a welcoming and warm atmosphere for social outings, activities, and events. Leadership opportunities will be discussed, and the meeting takes place Monday at 12:15 in the Social Center on the island. If whatever you happen to do on Monday works up an appetite for something out of the ordinary, there is a dinner outing taking place to Connor's Steak and Seafood in Estero. Enjoy delicious appetizers, wood-grilled USDA prime steaks and chops, and seafood. Entrees are typically priced between $11 and $30. Cost for transportation is $8, and island pickups start at 4:30 p.m. with return time approximately around 8 p.m. Wouldn't it be nice if everyone just did what they were supposed to and respected other people and their property? Well, yes, it would, but unfortunately, there are many unscrupulous people out there in the world who will use any means necessary to separate you from what is yours, including manipulating technology and telling clever tales on the phone. Lee County Sheriff Mike Scott has a word for you about telemarketing fraud.
Hi, I'm Lee County Sheriff Mike Scott. One of the most common ways that seniors get scammed out of their hard-earned money is through telemarketing fraud. These scams tend to offer free prizes, low-cost products, and cheap vacations. If you find yourself on the phone with a telemarketer, here are some warning phrases to listen for. You need to act now. This offer expires today. You've won a prize, but you have to pay for postage and handling or other fees. This is a high-profit, no-risk offer. All these too good to be true things. And comments that should send warning lights blaring in your mind when anything involving the need to send money, give a credit card number, or have a check picked up by a courier. Always remember you are in control of the conversation and your finances, and you have the power to end the conversation at any time. You can always hang up the phone. If you find yourself wanting to take action or spend money during a call with a telemarketer, consider that it's very difficult to get your money back if you've become a victim of a telephone scam. So, as a general rule of thumb, never buy from an unfamiliar company or one that doesn't allow you the time to conduct appropriate research. Ask for written materials related to any charities and then review them with a trusted financial advisor. Obtain the salesperson's name, personal contact number and business address, and then verify the validity of that information before taking any action. Take your time making decisions that involve your money. Also, if you have been victimized once, be very wary of callers who offer to help you recover your losses for a fee paid in advance. And as always, if you have questions about consumer fraud or if you think you've been victimized, please contact the Lee County Sheriff's Office. Our fraud line is 477-1242. I'm Sheriff Mike Scott, and I thank you for being an active partner in securing the safety of our community.
Coming up, we're going to replay some of our best stories from this week on Shell Point Today. But before we do that, let's cover all of this weekend's happenings, academy news, menus, and church news.
Hi everybody, welcome to the weekend edition of Shell Point's Happenings segment. I'm Bev Chandley and I'm here with Caitlin Van Scoy, and we're going to tell you the activities going on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're going to start out Friday morning at 8 o'clock with the men's match play, doubles tennis at the tennis courts. And 8:15, you'll find the Stamp Ministry down in the Stamp Room in the tunnel. At 8:30, the Friday Marketplace will be in Administration Courtyard from 8:30 to 11:30. And 9 o'clock's the time for Canasta and Samba. That'll be in the Commons second floor lobby. The Susie Q will head out at 9:30 today. They're going to the Green Flash restaurant over on Captiva. Sign up is required. At 10 o'clock, we have the men's match play, doubles tennis at the Woodlands Tennis Courts. The Veterans Club meeting will be in the Grand Cypress Room at 10 o'clock as well. At 10:15, Genealogy will be meeting in the Osprey Room on the island. Also at 10:15, we have Inquiring Minds. That'll be in the Manatee Room on the island. Here's Caitlin for the afternoon.
Thank you, Bev. We start Friday afternoon off with 12:30 mixed progressive bridge in the game room of the Woodlands. At 1:15, we have advanced table tennis meeting in the Tarpon Room. And Quilters will be meeting also at 1:15 in the Osprey Room of the island. And from 1:30 to 3:30, the Model Train Room will be open for viewing and tours. At 1:30, we have the Vespers meeting in the Community Room of the Arbor. And at 2 p.m., we have Big Euchre in the Sable Room of the Woodlands. Come out for water volleyball at 2:15 at the LifeQuest Aquatic Center. And Latin Size will be held at 2:30 at the Health Club on the island. At 2:30, Vespers will be meeting in the Community Room of King's Crown. And also at 3:30, another Vespers meeting in the Springs. 4 p.m., pickleball will be played at the pickleball courts on the island. We finish Friday off with 6:45 game night in the Resident Activity Center on the island. That's it for Friday, and we start Saturday morning off with 8 a.m. pickleball at the pickleball courts on the island. Also at 8 a.m., we have round-robin doubles tennis at the Woodlands Tennis Courts. The Shell Point Walking Club will be headed out to Venetian Bay at 8 a.m., meet at the Administration Courtyard at the Clock on the island. At 9:30, we have men's and women's doubles tennis at the Woodlands Tennis Courts. And at 9:45, we have duplicate bridge being played in the Manatee Room. 10:15, the Model Yacht Sailing Club will be meeting at the Garden Apartment Pond on the island to sail their boats. At 1 p.m., we have chess in the Library Lounge of the Resident Activity Center. And 1:15, Scrabble will be played in the Library Lounge of the island. Also at 1:15, we have table tennis being played in the Tarpon Room of the Island Tunnel. 2 p.m., we have a Saturday DVD in the Grand Cypress Room of the Woodlands. And at 3:15, we have basic line dancing in the Health Club of the island. 6:30, duplicate bridge will be played in the Manatee Room. And another showing of the Saturday DVD at 7 p.m. in the Grand Cypress Room of the Woodlands. That's it for Saturday. Bev's going to tell you about our Sunday activities.
At 9 o'clock Sunday, we start with Christian Life Studies. That's held in the game room of the Woodlands. And also, Christian Life Studies is at the Village Church at 9 o'clock. 10:15, we have the morning worship service at the Village Church. It's also broadcast live on Shell Point TV, Channel 13. We're going to go all the way to 4:15, where we have the ballroom line dancing for beginners. That's held in the Health Club on the island. And our last activity for this Sunday is 6:15, Season of Praise. The King's Brass will be at the Village Church. You do need to have a ticket for that. Well, we hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you back here next week.
Hello, I'm Terry Kolath with your Academy information for Friday. At 10:15, we have a look at Winston Churchill with a lecture in the Social Center of the Island. And at 10:15, iPad or iPhone. This is a walk-in clinic in the Teaching Center on the island. And at 2 o'clock, Getting Past the Pop-Ups will take place in the Grand Cypress Room of the Woodlands. Please sign up at either service desk. I'd like to tell you about what's coming next week. On Monday, Bruce Findlay of Sundial will be teaching iPhones Basics. On Tuesday, Professor Adrian Kerr continues his series on legendary places with Session 2. And we have an iPad, Why Do I Need One class with Penny Modrich of Nautilus. And then traveling with the Apple iPad, Judith Krug of Eagles Preserve is our tour guide. Math in Art, Music, and Nature with Dick Brown of Parkwood, and the Alpha course begins, presented by the Village Church. On Wednesday, Brian Oxley of Periwinkle will be telling us about The Hound of Heaven with 2 films. And on Thursday, #1 Academy on the Go class takes off to canoe the Turner River with a ranger. On Friday, we look at the 1950s, the decade that made America, with Gerald Zeidenberg. And Facebook on the Computer with Meg Singer of Teledora.
Menus for your weekend. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter on Friday is salmon cakes with lemon cream pasta and broccoli. The dinner special is the seafood buffet for $15.95, and the soup of the day is Manhattan clam chowder. In the Island Cafe for lunch on Friday, the special is a sloppy joe with fries for $7.25. The dinner special is Chef's Choice for $8.25. Dinner specials in the Palm Grill on Friday are lamb chops for $22.95 or Chilean sea bass for $20.95. On Saturdays, the Crystal Room is closed. In the Island Cafe for lunch on Saturday, the special is a chili cheese dog with chips for $7.25. The dinner special is tilapia parmesan with rice pilaf and mixed vegetables for $8.25. On Saturday in the Palm Grill, the dinner special is prime rib for $19.95. On Sunday, the Crystal Room features its Sunday brunch for $24.95. In the Island Cafe for lunch on Sunday, the special is fresh fruit with cottage cheese, sliced tomato, and a hamburger patty for $7.25. The dinner special is Chef's Choice for $8.25. And the Palm Grill is closed on Sundays. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Hi, Randy Woods, and as we look forward to the weekend, we're anticipating the opportunity to gather at church again on Sunday. Here in the Shell Point community, we welcome you to join us at the Village Church as we worship together at 10:15 Sunday morning. Pastor Hawkins is going to be continuing his sermon series in the book of Hebrews. We'll share together with the ministry of the choir, congregational singing of the favorite hymns of the church. As well, we'll gather to honor the Lord and give thanks for his goodness. Sunday evening, we continue with our concert with Tim Zimmerman and the King's Brass. That concert is at 6:15, and there are tickets available at the door, and you can pick them up starting at 5:15 on Sunday night. The concert is at 6:15. We look forward to a great time of celebration and musical inspiration. As we gather together this weekend, I trust you'll be part of the worship services. If you're not able to get out, I invite you to tune in to ShellPoint TV Channel 13, and you can see a live broadcast of the morning service. Again, in the evening, the concert with Tim Zimmerman and the King's Brass. The tickets are $10 and will be available at the door. Come join us as we celebrate God's goodness again this weekend.
And now it's time to look at these stories from this week. We got a lineup of previews of upcoming Academy classes that you may find fascinating and helpful. First up is the latest class from our favorite history professor, Adrian Kerr.
Hi, I'm Terry Kolath. I'm here with my favorite history instructor, and probably yours too, Professor Adrian Kerr. He is giving us something new and really interesting, legendary places from his bucket list. Thanks for joining me, Adrian.
It's a pleasure, as always, to come to Shell Point. Thank you, Terry.
Adrian, it is so interesting to hear about your travels and to imagine how you chose your favorite ones, and you're going to present them to us. How did you ever decide?
Part of them are my bucket list, so to speak, things I've enjoyed visiting over the years. But I was also influenced by your residents, because we put out a questionnaire over a period of weeks, and they kindly replied. And they were quite amusing, some of them, because they're saying, I've been there, I'd like to be reminded about it.
Yes.
Or I've never been there, and I'm never going to get there, so tell me about it. And so there are two populations. So I extracted the most common list, because I could have had 40 or 50, but I tried to keep it to about 20, which are the most popular, both in my view, but also in your residents' view.
And you're an historian. We know that, and we love that about you. Yet you also are so good about telling us what something is like right now.
Yes, I suppose visiting these places, it opens your eyes to the state in which they are in, how popular they are, how many people go there, or the reverse, how dilapidated, how crumbling they may be, and also the restrictions. So I like to give the history and how the monument was conceived and how it was constructed, and then how it died out or was lost or has been restored. So this is a whole spectrum of originality through to current status.
Fabulous. Now I know you're going chronologically from the oldest to the newest of these legendary places. Starting at 2500 BC with the Great Pyramids, I know you are instrumental in helping to support the college students from Chicago who are there, working to preserve the pyramids. How is that going?
Very well, actually. When we had the 2007-2008 financial meltdown, people who had been giving money to the trust to help these 7 students in Luxor, they spend 6 months from November to April, and then they come back and write up their notes and then go back another year. And it's a great privilege to be selected to work for the University of Chicago Oriental Institute. And the books that I sell and talks I give, the money from those goes to this fund to keep them in, I hope, pencils and papers and food, but I suspect it may be spent on other things as well. But I go out once a year at least to visit them, and they're in Luxor, which is the south part of Egypt, not far away from the pyramids, but that's where all the Valley of the Kings is, that's where Luxor Temple is, where the Karnak Temple is, and so on. And they are gradually restoring and recording the hieroglyphic texts in that area, and they've been doing it for nearly 100 years.
That's fabulous. Now you're going to go chronologically every Tuesday in January, so people can go the whole route with you, or they can just pop in and take 1, 2, or 3 of the sessions, all the way to my favorite, the Taj Mahal in India.
Yes, I thought I'd leave it, well, it's interesting, I'd leave it to the end because it's such a beautiful structure and it has such deep, meaningful love story between the emperor and his beautiful wife, who he was in love with until the day she died, bearing his 14th child. And it's a true love story, and if you look at the various stories in ancient history and Middle Ages, then this probably stands out as being the monument, the greatest monument to love. And so it's many people's favorite, and it's one of mine too. But interestingly, although people look at the pyramids and Machu Picchu and the pyramids in Central America and the Great Wall of China and all these things, not everybody is able to establish the timeline. So what I'm trying to do on these 4 talks is take us through the timeline from the oldest to the youngest, so to speak. And so that's why the Taj Mahal is at the end, because it's in fact 17th century construction.
And these are legendary places. We can't forget that. So looking at, that's going to tell us a lot about everything, isn't it? What we were capable of as humanity, starting back with the pyramids, to what we were capable of in 1600 with the Taj Mahal.
Of course, you'll see a growing sophistication and quality of masonry and size and style. That changes over the last 4,000 years. But I tried to pick, with the help of your residents, items from each continent. So it's not going to be focused on entirely the Middle East or India. It covers all continents and many of the great places that people like to visit. But I would encourage everybody to start traveling in 2015, because as I go to each location, they become more restrictive. For instance, today only 50 people can enter the Great Pyramid because of the damage they cause. Tutankhamun tomb in 2015 is now closed, and you have to go to reproduction, which is about 4 miles away. So nobody can ever go into the original Tutankhamun museum. Machu Picchu, you have to get a pass or a visa to go up into the village itself, and they're restricted to so many a day because of the damage to the ecology, and so on. The only one which, in fact, ironically, is still the two which stand out is the Great Wall of China. They are still open to tourists. My daughter was there in just before Christmas, and it was 38 degrees. So she was one of 3 people on the Great Wall of China. People forget how cold Beijing can be. And the Taj Mahal is the exact opposite. It's the most popular but one spot for people to re-give their vows. So most of the people on the Taj Mahal are not foreigners. It's only 10% of foreigners. Most of them are Indians. And although it's an Islamic monument built during the Mughal Empire, the people who go today are Hindu. So I like it because you can sit there from dawn to dusk and you can see this mixing of the 2 rivers, the Hindu people there today with some Islamic people, and of course in an Islamic structure. So they are able to push out of their minds the fact that they're visiting a Islamic structure, and this to see it as a beautiful building, and that's a hope for humanity.
Very much is. Thank you. I hope you don't miss any of these Tuesday opportunities in January to spend some time with Professor Adrian Kerr with his legendary places many of you have requested.
The next class we heard about will be just the thing if you got a new digital camera for Christmas. Or if you have one still sitting in the box from last Christmas. Herb Sklar wants to help you get started with digital photography.
Hello everybody, I'm here with Herb Sklar of Eagles Preserve. We're talking about one of the classes that is coming up for those of you with the digital camera. It's a prep school. Thank you for joining me, Herb.
Oh, you're welcome. Happy to be here. Prep school, yes. Digital photography, well, you can only do digital photography. Film photography now is almost passé. It's very difficult to do and get the film process, so digital photography is the way to do it. Now, the interesting thing about these cameras, whether they cost you $20 or $10,000, they're basically all the same, and they work by menus. The problem is that every camera has a different menu. So the way the class runs is you'll bring your camera, and you'll bring your instruction book, and we will spend the first class trying to get everybody's camera working so they really know how to work it. And then the next 2 weeks, I'll be showing some slideshows on how to take pictures and how to improve your photo skills. So don't worry about it if you think it's too technical. There'll be plenty of people who will be helping me, and so everybody will get a little personal attention, and they'll walk out of there knowing how to use their camera.
To me, this is one of the best gifts you give us, and you give us a lot of gifts in the world of art. But to think that someone who really doesn't know how to use their digital camera can come in a non-threatening environment and just comfortably learn how to do it, because there's not that much to it if somebody explains your camera to you, right?
Right. Well, I also have a little selfish reason for doing it, because these people now start taking pictures. They want to join the photo club.
Exactly.
So I'm recruiting.
Well, you're recruiting, but that's another wonderful thing that it's a good thing to talk about when we're talking about a very beginning prep school camera course, is that there really are a lot of opportunities to use your camera in life and at Shell Point.
Right. And it's a very quick learning process, because it's not like the old days where you had to send away and you wait for the pictures to come down. You take a picture, you see it. Well, I don't like it. Now you try to improve it. So it has a very quick learning to it.
Exactly. I remember having to set stops and do all sorts of things to get that picture right. And now it really is pushing a button.
You're pushing a button, and you can see it, what you did right away, and so you can correct all your mistakes.
And we might just say, because this is a good time to say it, that with the new photo studio in the Island Tunnel, the Photo Club will be offering even more classes in photography once you get past that hurdle of knowing.
Oh, absolutely. We'll take you along, and you become an expert in no time.
Well, you're so generous with your love of photography, and I just want to thank you on behalf of your community.
Oh, you're more than welcome. It's my pleasure, really.
Now, you've got an opportunity here you won't want to miss. If you have that digital camera sitting in a box somewhere and you're ignoring it, get that box. Bring it to Digital Camera Prep School for 3 Tuesday mornings with Herb Sklar. You'll be glad you did.
Multi-talented Herb Sklar was here to talk about another Academy class, Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain.
Hello, I'm Terry Kolath. I'm here today with Herb Sklar of Eagles Preserve. You know him as one of our favorite art instructors here at Shell Point. Today we're talking about a program he offers for us in the spring session most years, because it's so popular, Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. Thank you for joining me, Herb.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
I remember when you came to me and told me anyone can learn to draw, Terry, and I don't know.
Well, you know what? We've been doing this 4 times, so this will be the 5th, and everybody can learn to draw if they want to.
You've proven it.
Yeah, it works. Betty Edwards wrote this book in 1979, and she revised it, and it's taught in California a lot different than we could do at Shell Point. She does it as a back-to-back on a weekend, 8 hours. It's 16 hours, very intense. It wouldn't work here. So I've modified it, and it has worked. There are 2 caveats that I must mention right now before you think about signing up for this class. One is you really got to commit for the 6 weeks, because if you miss one, Karen Hubbard, who is my associate and helps me, and without her I couldn't do this class, is busy, and I'm busy with the new instructions. We have no time to go back and help you make up one that you missed. So you got to kind of commit for that. And the next thing is we've been very successful. People leave there, they can draw. But if you stop drawing, it's like learning to drive a car. You don't get better, and eventually you forget. So you need to kind of say, okay, I'll make a drawing once, twice a week. That's all you need to do, and you'll get better and better and better. But if you stop, you're going to lose it. So
and that's important to know, Herb. I'm glad you brought that up, because before we have to keep it a small class, because you and Karen give a lot of attention in this class.
There is a lot of personal attention in this class.
And if you can't say, all right, I'm making this commitment to a 6-week course, and then I'd really like to learn to draw so I can continue using it, then maybe this isn't the class for you.
Right. It could be, but when this class is over, you will leave and you will be able to draw it, and it's a thrill, and it's very good for your brain. It's a great exercise for your brain, and it's just wonderful. By the 3rd class, I'll have everybody making a drawing of their hand that they could frame and put up on the wall.
You know, I wouldn't believe this if I hadn't seen it. All the different classes in the past coming in, it's fabulous. To come in and see the first day, everybody's like I am. All right, I dare you to teach me how to draw. Then you come week after week, and at the end, they're so excited about their drawing abilities.
It really works.
Well, as always, we thank you not only for having the idea and the generosity to see this through with our residents, but to take the time to modify it, to make it be a program that works right here for us, and to be quite honest with us that, you know, you can't learn to draw in an hour.
No, not an hour, but a couple of hours.
Couple of hours.
We'll do it.
6 sessions. It's fabulous. Well, so I encourage you, if this class is for you, if you'd like to learn to draw, and Karen, Herb, other artistic residents will give you plenty of opportunities to keep your drawing schedules going after you finish this class. 6 Wednesdays beginning January 7th with Herb Sklar and Karen Hubbard.
Caregiving can be an overwhelming job, and caregivers need all the support they can get. Dr. Nancy Spencer came by to tell us about the Caregiver Support Group.
I'm Mary Franklin here today with Dr. Spencer, and she is the organizer and the doctor behind the Caregiver Support Group that meets monthly here at Shell Point. For more information about the Caregiver Group and times and locations, you can check your Shell Point Life. Towards the middle, there's always a support group page, and that information is there. Dr. Spencer, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
You run a fabulous support group because caregivers don't often take care of themselves. And so it's important that they learn how to take care of themselves so they can give to their loved one, correct?
Correct, absolutely. We have a fabulous support group, but what makes it fabulous is not the leadership, but the residents who come and participate. It is a time for people to come and feel free to discuss troubles that they're having at home in a comfortable, safe environment where they can pick up tips and knowledge on how to better care for someone with a memory problem.
Okay, and your support group's a little bit different than some of our traditional support groups here at Shell Point. It's a therapeutic support group. What's the difference?
Very good question. One of the things that I do that's different than a resident-run group is I am a clinical psychologist with knowledge and expertise on how to help people who are suffering through different experiences. Therefore, this is a therapeutic psychological support group in which I employ strategies to help the residents better care for themselves.
Okay, and so they're required to sign up.
They are. Residents do need to contact me prior to participation in the group. We often conduct a short interview to make sure that the issues are in line with the group that's existing. It's also a group that we use a Medicare charge for.
Okay.
And that is different than a resident-run group, and we do that because of the knowledge and expertise and all of the treatment planning that goes with the group.
Okay, but is there a copay for the individual that attends?
Typically, Medicare pays 50% and the secondary insurance does pick up the remaining 50%. However, everyone's plans are different, so each person might have a different copay. I do encourage residents to contact Shell Point Medicare Billing and ask them those questions ahead of time if there's concern.
Okay, well that is good. Thank you for all of what you do. I have personally talked to some residents that attend your sessions, and they look forward to that week or that time during the week that they get to spend with you.
And I really look forward to the group as well. I myself has blossomed in the caregiving support leadership role just from the knowledge that I've gained from the residents that have come, and really do share and support one another. And that's the other really nice thing about this group is I'm there as a support, but it's a peer group in the sense that you might learn something from one of the other residents who is going through the exact same experience at the same time.
Wow. It's important what you do, and if you are a caregiver looking for a little bit more support, this would be a great session for you to attend. But don't forget, you do need to sign up for this support group. You can give Dr. Spencer a phone call, and her phone number is 454-2043. I'm Mary Franklin, along with Dr. Spencer. Make it a happy and healthy day.
We got yet another Academy class preview from Brian Oxley about his class called The Hound of Heaven.
Hi everyone, I'm Terry Kolath. I'm here today with a special guest, a presenter in the Academy of Lifelong Learning. His name is Brian Oxley of Periwinkle and other places. Thank you for joining me, Brian.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Pastor Andy gave me a call and said, we have a great opportunity to look at the Hound of Heaven in the Academy. And I said, well, tell me more. And he told me about this man, Brian Oxley, who had made films about the poem, The Hound of Heaven. And I wanted you to spend a few minutes telling our Shell Point residents what we have.
I'd love to. It's a great poem. In fact, Tolkien, who wrote The Lord of the Rings, and G.K. Chesterton both say it could be the greatest poem ever written. It's from the 19th century, and I'll just kind of read a line from the poem that I think is so beautiful.
Okay.
I fled him down the nights and down the days. I fled him down the arches of the years. And it's an autobiographical poem by a man named Francis Thompson, and he's basically talking about his life. And he was running from God. And no matter what he did, he couldn't shake him. And he used the hound from heaven, of course being God, but the Irish hound is relentless in his pursuit. You can't, if it chased the rabbit, you know,
The rabbit won't win.
It won't win, yeah. So he picked the Irish hound as an image of God that will just pursue you, the great pursuer, because of his love for you. So it's not so much a story about the church, it's really about the one-on-one God loving you, the individual, and pursuing you. So that's the essence of the poem.
Why don't we know more about this poem, Brian?
Well, it's really, I've been asking that question because it's such a great poem, but it is from the 19th century, during the Victorian era. And, you know, England is not as interested in Christian, its Christian heritage. I think that's part of the problem. In fact, when we were filming The Hound of Heaven in England, we went to his gravesite of Francis Thompson, and it was unkept. It looked like nobody been there in 100 years. Amazing. So, you know, just because he wrote a great poem, if not the greatest poem, doesn't mean that people haven't forgotten, and they have. And that's really been my vision for this poem, is to resurrect it and bring it, you know, to the modern audience.
How did it start? How did you come upon this poem?
Well, as many things in my family, it started with my wife, and I have an interest in what they call emblem books, very common books in the 17th century, and they're basically picture books. And my wife found this book right here called it's The Hound of Heaven, and the illustrations in this book were so wonderful that I said, that's the artist that I would like help me with my emblem books. Ah. So actually, as a result of this book, Hound of Heaven, I ended up hiring this artist. He still works for me full time and does illustrations for me. But so this is the book that started me on a very interesting journey. And then, of course, I read the poem and fell in love with it.
It's amazing. And the English of the time was very different than what we understand. So what you've done is present it to us in a way that's more understandable.
Well, there's 3 versions, believe it or not. I tend to go all the way. One is, which we'll be showing, is basically it's a documentary about the whole poem. In the documentary, we hired David Touché from Agatha Christie, one of the most credible voices, to narrate the poem. So it is beautiful. It doesn't mean you totally understand it, but when you hear the documentary, you'll get the whole backdrop, and it may want you to dig into the poem and spend time with it. Right. I'm also going to show a modern adaptation of the poem. I think it's very good, but you know, you take a big risk when you take a great classic and you try to dumb it down, so to speak, for our generation. But we have attempted to do that, and it's really geared for young people. But I would sure love people at Shell Point who may have, you know, kids, who do have kids and grandkids, maybe to see if it may be something, if they liked it, they may want their kids or their grandkids to see. So, and then there's actually a third, which will not be shown at this particular time, but it's an incredible situation that's occurred. It's a live action version of The Hound of Heaven. And it was presented at the film festival in London called Rain Dance, which is the largest film festival in Europe, and a film festival that rarely would allow a Christian film into it. And we were selected. And in fact, the Hollywood Reporter actually wrote an article that we have been accepted. It's not out in the open because now we're pursuing other film festivals. But just to show you kind of the risks we took, is the narrator of that live action is a rapper. and so, you know, we took some liberties, let's say, but it's the original poem. So we actually have 3, but we're going to show the documentary, and we're going to show the modern adaptation. The modern adaptation is maybe 12 minutes. The documentary is maybe 25 minutes. Fabulous. Yeah.
And then we'll have a little Brian Oxley in between.
Yeah, you know, anybody have, you know, questions? Sure. But let me just share something about Francis Thompson. You know, his parents were very successful. His father was a doctor, and they wanted him to be either a priest, because he was Catholic, Francis Thompson, or become a doctor. Well, he wanted to be a poet. And back then, it was like nobody believed poetry could be a legitimate profession. And but he went to London. He was destitute. I'll just read this little line. When he submitted some of his poetry to a publisher, part of his note was, "The next day I spent the halfpenny on 2 boxes of matches and again began the struggle for life." So here he was struggling in the streets of London, got into all sorts of problems, especially he started taking laudanum, which is like opium in the liquid form. And of course that was a problem back then because they didn't really know about its addicting problems. And anyway, so that's part of the story is, I mean, he almost dies, and in the midst of his trouble, at the lowest point in his life, he writes this poem, The Hound of Heaven. And so if you learn his story, which a documentary will share, all of a sudden you first, to some degree, you identify with him because, you know, we've all had our low moments. Sure. And to see something so beautiful, so incredible come out of, you know, his mind at that point is the poem, and that's what I want to share with people.
Fabulous. Well, we are so delighted you're bringing us this gift.
Yes.
And I encourage everyone to join us. We're going to be in the Village Church Auditorium. No registration necessary, room for everybody. And we're going to start at 10:15, and we have Brian Oxley for an hour and a half, his films and his experience. Please join us.
Jeff Corey is an old friend who has come back to Shell Point after being gone for a few years. Here is your new Executive Director of the Legacy Foundation.
Hi, my name is Jeff Corey, and I'm the new Executive Director of the Legacy Foundation here at Shell Point. Some of you may know that I first began serving at Shell Point over 20 years ago, and later helped found the Legacy Foundation in 2001. It's great to be back home. I've spent my career serving individuals and families, helping them navigate through the estate planning process to make the greatest impact for loved ones and the charities they support. I'm a certified financial planner and a chartered financial consultant, and most recently served as the Vice President of Advancement at Nyack College in New York. The Legacy Foundation is a one-stop financial concierge resource for residents who have questions regarding their financial, estate, and philanthropic plans. We provide trusted, confidential advisory services, educational programming, and work with the finest legal, tax, and professional advisors in the area, all with the goal to provide you, our residents, with financial security, individualized attention, and peace of mind. Many of you may be familiar with our Daily Money Manager program that assists residents with bill paying, insurance, taxes, and a host of financial resources when managing your finances just becomes too much of a burden. Our staff welcomes the opportunity to serve you. There's never a cost or obligation to visit with us and to learn more about our services and how we can help you. An important part of the Legacy service is reviewing current estate plans, including wills, trusts, powers of attorney, and advanced healthcare directives. If it's been some time since you took a look at these important documents, contact our office today at 466-8484 to schedule an appointment. Our office is located on the island by the Manatee Room, or we're delighted to meet you at your home. It's great to be back here at Shell Point, and I look forward to visiting with you soon at the Legacy Foundation. Best wishes for a happy and prosperous new year.
The stamp ministry marked a milestone that was a bit of a surprise, what with the interruption of being displaced from their space during the reconfiguration and construction of the new photo studio. We joined the party with our camera.
Able to come this morning. Some of you have been volunteering in the stamp room for years. Some of you have been volunteering here in the room, also at home. You bring your stamps, you get new ones, and we thank you for all of the hours that you've spent. We also have some very new volunteers, and we're pleased to have them come. We wanted you to be present as we take a look at what the Lord has allowed us to do in 2014 and realize that each one of you have had something to do with that. And for that, we're extremely grateful. Another $5,000 went in December, $41,000 for the year. And I'm just amazed that when they shut us down and started the reconstruction here, I kept thinking, my goodness, we are going to be so far behind, so far behind. But you were very vigilant in coming to the train room, picking up stamps, taking them home, dealing with them, bringing them back, getting more, and it's just terrific. So $41,000 for this year. That brings us to a grand total. Look at this. Immediate display. $854,361. And you people need applause. Just to bring to your attention, 1972, the first year the stamp ministry generated $4,100. 2014, 41,000. Quite an improvement. Now, the school where our nieces and nephews attended, they had a saying that by the yard, it's hard, by the inch, it's a cinch. Well, when we would have boxes and boxes and boxes of stamps over there under the bins, I kept thinking, we are never going to get through those. But if you take it one stamp at a time, as you people have done, we've been able to stay on top of it and, come out from 7 weeks of being closed. So, in celebration of that, I'll just explain that we have a yard of chocolates. All right? And now is the time for your poppers. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Boy, was that impressive.
Seriously, there are so many great new Academy classes coming up that you really could fill your days just by filling up your head with all kinds of fascinating information. If you'd like to know more about that legendary figure from World War II, Winston Churchill, you're in luck. Expert Gerald Zeidenberg has just the class for you.
Hi everyone, I'm Terry Kolath, and I'm here today with a new instructor for the Academy of Lifelong Learning. I'm delighted to introduce you to Gerald Zeidenberg. We're going to talk about his first class, Winston Churchill. Thanks for joining me, Gerald.
Winston Churchill was probably one of the most important figures of the 20th century.
And you say that why?
Because he stood up to the Nazis when a lesser man like Neville Chamberlain or some of the other British politicians would have given in, and the world would have been a different place without Winston Churchill.
Well, I think that we're delighted that we're going to learn a little bit more about him from your perspective, but let's talk a little bit about you first for a minute. Gerald Zeidenberg, have you always lectured on recent history?
I started this about 25 years ago. I was a pharmacist. I did a lot of teaching. We had an academy with the chain that I was with, and I lectured and I taught business. And then I got a bug in my system. I wanted to become a historian. So when I retired from pharmacy, I went back to school and got a BA, an honors BA, and then a master's degree in modern history.
Fabulous. What's your favorite part?
The people.
The people? Yeah, well, it's interesting if you know more about the people who have been such a big part in our world events, isn't it?
That it is. The life of Winston Churchill is such a fascinating life. He had so many facets to his character. Not all of them good, but he was a fascinating person.
I know. I'm reading a couple of biographies that make mention of him right now, and each one mentions him in a different way. It's very interesting. One person, one famous person with so many characteristics.
Winston, despite his great qualities, was an egotist. So he made some terrible decisions based on his ego. He also was a bit of a racist, especially for his time. He was also a male chauvinist. But despite that, as I mentioned before, he was still extremely important to world history.
And you are going to place him in the time. So now, one of the things we enjoy here at Shell Point is putting history in the place with our current frame of reference and what we now know about the world. At the time, it was, at the time that events are unfolding, it's so different than looking back 50 years and seeing how important decisions were.
Well, I can leave you with one contentious point, perhaps. Winston Churchill, almost 100 years ago, when Britain got the mandate for Iraq, predicted it would come to no good end. And that was a very prophetic statement a long time ago.
Very prophetic. Well, we look forward to this. We're so glad. I know you've lectured in the area, Renaissance Academy, various places, and we're so glad that we're able to offer your lectures right now at Shell Point Retirement Community. So won't you please join us? We're going to be meeting Mr. Zeidenberg firsthand with Winston Churchill Friday, January 9th at 10:15, the Social Center on the island. Hope to see you there.
The Shell Point Singers is just the place to gather with good friends and enjoy the pleasure of singing. Members Dave McJoint and Dee Dee Darcy came by to let you know how you can get involved.
I'm Dave McJoint. I'm here with Dee Dee Darcy to tell you about a great concert the Shell Point Singers are bringing here to the church in March. And we'd like to encourage all of you, especially new to Shell Point, to come, and also some that have even been thinking about singing but haven't really come yet. Our first rehearsal for this concert is Monday on January the 12th, 3:15 at the church.
I hear the Bay Singers are going to be joining us this concert, Dave.
Yeah, they
Tell
are.
us about them.
They sure are. 16 years ago, when I lived at Bonita Bay in Bonita Springs, I started a small singing group. These are singers that had sung with their church choir or before that in school choirs and wanted to start singing again. And Dee Dee, that's the same situation we have here at Shell Point. Now that small group has now grown to 60 singers and will be directed by Bruce Galbraith, a very talented musician. He, along with Randy, will bring boundless energy to this concert with the help of a few instrumentalists. Now, Dee Dee, tell me about your experience here with the Shell Point Singers.
Well, I started with the Shell Point Singers before we moved to Shell Point. I had a close church choir buddy, and she said, "Why don't you join us? You'll really enjoy it." So after the first rehearsal, I came home. On the calendar, every Monday I wrote 3:15, Singers Save the Date. And not only do we have fun singing, but the openness and the support and the friendliness of everybody is infectious. Plus, we don't have to try out, and there are no bad voices in the singers. Randy has the ability to work magic. And sometimes we know the songs, sometimes we don't. But by the time we've gone through all the rehearsals, again, Randy has waved his magic wand, and we sound pretty good. So I encourage you to come join us every Monday at 3:15. You'll have a good time, you'll make friends, you'll love singing, and one of the best things is a sense of accomplishment at the end of the concerts when the Shell Point audience applauds. And trust me, the Shell Point audience always applauds.
Dee Dee, let's talk about some of the songs that will be in the show. There's one particular one that I really don't quite understand. It's girls and what they like.
A kiss on the hand may be quite continental, but diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Well, Dee Dee, here's one that we both can do. Oh, Shenandoah, I long to hear you. Now there's a couple of old good ones that are really before Randy's time.
Down, down.
aboard on the Atchison, Topeka, and the Santa Fe. Hey, Dee Dee?
Yes, Dave.
What would a concert be without a love song? For I can't help falling in love with you. Now that's something for everybody.
So come join us. You'll have fun, you'll make friends, you get to sing, and you'll just love the Shell Point Singers. Monday, 3:15, Church Auditorium, first rehearsal, January 12th.
Melody Desolé wants you to get credit. And she wants Shell Point to get credit for all the hours you put into volunteering this last year. She has some information for you about how to do that and why it's important that you do so.
Hi Shell Point resident volunteers, I am Melody Desolé, volunteer coordinator here at Shell Point, and I am so proud to say that we completed another successful calendar year of volunteering, and it's all thanks to you with your generosity and your time commitment to those volunteer roles that are so important. Now I'm here to talk about volunteer hours, which I'm sure you've heard me talk about before. Those volunteer hours are so important for our rating in our not-for-profit status as a CCRC, which is a continuing care retirement community. Now, in order to turn in those hours, you may already see a binder at your place of work. You just fill in your name, the position that you do, and the hours that you complete. Now, at the end of the calendar year, I'm looking for the grand total of hours from January 2014 through December 2014. And a form looks like this. If you don't have a binder where you currently volunteer, you can pick up one of these forms at either service desk, either here on the island or at the Woodlands Commons. Now, in order to fill out this form, as I had said before, you fill out your name, your address, the position that you're currently volunteering in, and you fill out those hours through the days of the month. Now, the grand total for 2014 is the most important part, and you would fill that out at the bottom and send it in to me in the Resident Activity Center here on the island. Now, the volunteer hours range based on position, but if you do have any question regarding keeping track of your hours, please connect with me, Melody, at 454-2290. Now, positions may range from the Shell Point Singers to the Stamp Ministry all the way to court reps. And no position is too small, and we will take all those hours. So again, I appreciate you for who you are and what you have done. Just to give you a little status update for volunteer hours for 2012, we did 104,000. Now for 2013, that number popped up to 115,000 volunteer hours, and it's all because of you. So thank you so very much for what you do day in and day out. You matter, and I look forward to inviting all you who turn in your volunteer hours to a wonderful party. You'll receive a personal invitation from President Peter Dice. So we look forward to serving you and having a party for you. Thank you again for all that you do.
Well, that wraps up another week on Shell Point Today. We're glad you joined us for our show. Tune in again next week for more stories and news from around your community. Until then, this is Shell Point Today for the weekend of January 9th, 10th, and 11th. I'm Adam Brown, and for all of us here at Shell Point TV, we hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday.